Qatar, one of America's closest military partners, is also one of the world's top financiers of Islamic extremism. While U.S. troops train Qatari pilots on American soil, Doha sends billions to Hamas, the Taliban, and the Muslim Brotherhood. So why is Washington protecting a terror-linked regime? Today we uncover how Qatar bought influence in D.C., infiltrated media and universities, and positioned itself at the center of Middle East prophecy. Welcome to the Endtime Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We're so happy you've joined us today. We're talking about a topic that may or may not be popular in your circle today, Qatar. It's kind of all over the place on some social media algorithms, and then some of you may have not heard what's going on, so we hope to enlighten you today. We do need your help. Make sure you share this message, share this video with all your friends and family. Be sure to give us a heart or a thumbs up, and then engage in the chat. We want to know what you think about what's going on with Qatar. Is this strategy or spiritual blindness?
Wow.
What do you think,
That
Doug?
goes to that's a pretty broad spectrum there.
Well, it is, but
yeah,
it seems like something is happening that's
uncomfortable.
It
It definitely is uncomfortable, and like you started me down this trail a few weeks ago, and we talked about it a little bit. Whenever we found out they were going to have a military base in Idaho, that was one of the things, the first things that kind of brought our attention to it. And you said that you had been, had Qatar on your mind a lot, like it just kept being brought up to you, and so you wanted to go down a rabbit trail. So I went down a rabbit trail with you. And as we've gone down through there's been some things that have made me question a lot of stuff about why are we even allowing them to be a peace partner in Gaza. It's very strange.
And fun stuff going on in Gaza that we say we don't like.
Yeah, exactly. But,
It's really weird.
We were talking before the program with one of our guys from control room in there, and Sam was saying, just follow the money. That's what you got to do, and that's pretty much what it seems like is happening. So there's a lot to talk about today. Does it have to do with prophecy? I don't know if we could probably link it to prophecy somewhere as far as what's going to happen in the end time and how things are going to set up. But we're really talking, I guess, more today about politics and what's going on with the politics side of it. But there's a lot to uncover, and a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot, but more than what I suspected, kind of got upset with us when we talked about Qatar having a base in Idaho. They're like, well, why are you hating on what Trump's doing? Because we've done this in the past, and I served in the military, and I had all these pilots from these different countries that were coming in here, and we were training them and all that. But anyway, it's interesting when you start putting all the pieces together and following the trail. You see there's some stuff going on, Vince. So,
well, Doug, one point of clarity, I suppose, we highlighted that Qatar was going to have that building built on the Air Force, and of course, Secretary Pete Hegseth did say they were building a base. I think he misspoke when he said that.
Yeah.
They're not building a base for Qatar in Idaho, which we were going off of that video at the time,
right.
But he later clarified and said they're building a building on the base for
right.
Qatar.
Yeah.
And so it's not a whole Qatar Air Force base.
It's a pre-existing base that we have there, and
they're adding a building that is for Qatar.
Right.
But we were highlighting that, and then people want to let us know that this has been going on for decades with other countries.
Yeah.
Now we're aware of some of that, but it just seems like every time September 11th comes around, obviously what happened there is a highlight. But as far as with help me with the name, I'm losing it.
Saudi Arabia and the terrorists, and is that what
the terrorists, yeah, but specifically like the Muslim Brotherhood and everyone tied to that.
Right. So if you're talking about Osama bin Laden and the towers coming down,
Taliban,
and all that stuff.
Taliban's the word I was trying to think of. And so anyone connected to that, it just seems really odd.
Yeah.
That we would then do a deal with, because I remember saying, like, a lot, we don't negotiate with terrorists. That's one of our rules.
Yeah.
And yet we're going to build them a building on an Air Force base here in the United States. Now people are going to say, oh, Qatar's not terrorists. Well, they fund Hamas. They fund the Muslim Brotherhood. But for some reason, we haven't named the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization yet. And there's so much tied to that. And I just learned today that back in 22, when that hurricane hit Florida, Qatar donated $5 million towards, I think it was a veterans organization there in Florida, to help fund some things. Well, that is very kind, but also it makes me think, what in the world's going on? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the United Arab Emirates, they donated $2.5 million to, maybe might have been billion. Million's a lot, but it doesn't seem like that much when I think of how much devastation there was.
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember the exact number, but 2.5 million or billion, whatever it was, is a lot of money.
It's more
United Arab Emirates donated that to the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what's going on. And then I hear more and more about it. So the biggest one lately is, of course, Tucker Carlson. He's on the map, on everyone's radar. He had the #1 television show in cable television for quite some time, and then Fox fired him. And then he's come out with some views that I guess maybe some of us were surprised that he had.
Yeah, most definitely.
I've heard him in, obviously on camera, but having some pretty vulnerable conversations about his perspective on Israel.
Yeah.
And we say this, we'll say it again, obviously we don't agree with everything that's going on, just like we don't agree with everything going on with the United States. Abortions happen. I don't agree with that, but I love my country.
Right.
We kill people through war that are innocent sometimes, and I don't like that at all. I guess I don't like killing in any way.
Right.
But there's things that happen, and so Tucker's expressed some views that a lot of conservatives question, and then it comes out that he went over and visited Qatar, and they had an interview with him, and they paid him a large sum of money.
Yeah.
And he says, of course, Qatar is not funding his organization. I don't have any reason to doubt him that they're not regularly funding, but it does seem likely that they paid him a large sum of money for that interview.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is going on, but it's on the map because he's now coming out, and he just sent a newsletter out. I think it was over the weekend, email newsletter, really coming against people who are criticizing Qatar.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, what is going on, and what do we need to know about Qatar? So I think about Qatar almost every day.
Let me tell you something that's odd that doesn't normally happen, because you sent me a whole lot of different TikTok videos and X videos that you wanted me to see, where they were talking about what happened this weekend with Qatar and with their embassy and things like that. So we have footage that we're going to show here in a little while. But the crazy thing about it, Vince, was I kept getting emails from different people, and they were all about Qatar. This happened today as I'm putting this together, and that's where, when we're gonna show an interview here, or it wasn't really an interview, but she was at a church, speaking at a church, and I'm trying to get down to what her name is, and I forgot already. So Michelle Bachman.
Yes.
We're going to have some video footage from her that when you hear this, because Vince hasn't heard it yet. This is from people that sent me things all throughout the day. I've been getting things about Qatar. It's been really strange. And so Vince hasn't heard it. But when you hear it, Vince, you're going to be surprised at what you're hearing. And it goes right along what you've been saying right now. So,
well, also, I don't know if we're going to get to it later, but Qatar opens an embassy in D.C. over the weekend. And
Right.
we have some top officials that are there at the event celebrating this grand opening.
yeah.
Doug, one of these officials that are there, I want to reach out to, because I've spoken with him directly on a handful of occasions, but I don't know how to say it. It's like, hey, what are you doing there, dude?
Yeah.
But he's there celebrating with Qatar on their new embassy in D.C. and I guess there's a part of me that goes, it's just their embassy. Like,
Right.
Why make a big deal out of them opening an embassy and people going to a party and celebrating with them? But then also all the other things come into my mind. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Doug. When I think about Qatar, obviously we said it in the title that are they America's terror funding ally? Yes, they seem to be our ally now out of nowhere. Of course, we go back a long way, but it just seems to have taken mainstream conversations now. But they also fund terrorism, which seems like something that we should be totally against.
Yeah.
So where do we start for today specifically?
So this main meat of this came from Newsweek, and so that's I want to look at it because it calls them America's frenemy in the Gulf. So I thought that was interesting when I found this, and it was a huge article. And so if anybody wants to go see it, it's a Newsweek article. It's entitled, "What's the Big Deal with Qatar, America's Frenemy in the Gulf?" And so I just kind of did an overview, just a little short thing, but I've got enough there to where I feel like this will help people get the gist of it, Vince. Okay. And so I don't know, do you want to read this before we see a video that's going to kind of give us more information from this article?
Sure. So basically, Qatar, if you look it up on a map, you'll see it's right there in the Persian Gulf, just northwest of United Arab Emirates. So obviously, as part of the Persian Gulf, that's what the Euphrates River empties down into eventually. So it's right there across the Persian Gulf from Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and of course United Arab Emirates. So they're small. They're smaller than Israel, Doug. Right. So it's a tiny little place.
Yeah. But
they're extremely wealthy. It's roughly the size of Connecticut, and it's grown into one of the most influential foreign powers in Washington, D.C. The population is about 3 million, mostly foreign workers.
And they say those workers are more like slaves.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't know, but that's what I heard today in some of these interviews. They said that, most of what makes up their population are these workers, but they're more like, it's like slave labor.
Do we know where they're from?
I do not.
I'm going to try to look that up.
Okay.
But their riches is from gas.
Yeah.
So they have strategic relationships with other countries, specifically the United States, being a key military partner, and then Of course, they have controversial actors tied to the groups.
Many of those.
Yeah, with Hamas and so forth. So they're ally, and they're also enablers.
And people think that they also launder money there in Qatar. That's another accusation that's been made. They launder money for terrorism. So Iran sponsored money. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's no different than how some of the people have looked at Ukraine and said the Ukraine was laundering money for leftists and for, Nazi organizations and things like that. It's the same type of deal, except they're doing it with terrorist organizations, mainly Iran and Hamas and Hezbollah.
Yeah.
So
another reason why Qatar is so on the radar today, it just hit me as we were talking here, Doug. President Trump, of course, landed for fuel on his plane and invited the leader of Qatar to come on for a meeting, and so that was all over the place, him meeting with them. So that really brought this to the forefront this weekend.
Yeah, that's mentioned in this article, too, about the gift that was given to him from Qatar.
Yes. Yeah. They also host America's largest military base in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And then they also have relationships with Hamas, as we've already mentioned. So they're mediating, they're sponsoring. It's really weird. It's like, how in the world could they have a base for the United States and then also have relationships with Hamas when we are at odds, or at least it appears that we're at odds? Mm-hmm. So they have this dual rule, partner and patron of militants. It's made Qatar political paradox, really, and it's really weird in the U.S. policy circles. So the frenemy term is where that comes from. Yeah. And we've got this video from Newsweek that, are we ready to get to that?
Yeah, let's hit that. It's a short video.
All right,
watch that.
Check it out.
Qatar harbors and funded Hamas before October 7th of 2023, before they attacked Israel. The top Hamas guys, as you mentioned, they live in luxury in Doha. So this country, they play a bit of a double game, right? I mean, I think they see themselves as the mediators for the region, while at the same time harboring terrorists. So talk to me like I'm a child, right? Like, why are we friends with them?
The Qataris are interesting. They're sort of not really friends. They're not really enemies. They're sort of somewhere in the middle, frenemies, if you will. And they've formally hosted Hamas's political headquarters or political office since 2012. The Qataris say that the Obama administration at the time asked that they, host Hamas in order to facilitate the sort of diplomacy that we've seen over the last 2 years. Whether or not that's true, I think at this point is kind of besides the point, actually. If the purpose of hosting Hamas leaders was to make things happen diplomatically when needed, the Qataris kind of failed at that over the last 2 years.
So interesting. It goes all the way back to the Obama administration when he was he started making deals with Iran and terrorist organizations, because remember, when he came in, up until that point, Iran was considered an axis of evil, like part of the ones that were named after 9/11 during the Bush administration, but yet they come in and they begin to make friends with Iran and with these terrorist organizations. And like she just said, that's when this was initially set up, to try to have relations with Hamas and be able to have negotiations with Hamas. So very interesting. And then that the article goes into what they call a turning point, which was what just happened when Israel went in and bombed the headquarters of Hamas in their capital city of Doha, I think was where that happened, right? Doha. And so that's interesting, because that happened in September. That was all over the news, made Trump very angry. Remember, he got upset with Netanyahu and had Netanyahu do kind of an apology. I think it was a public apology, but it really wasn't a heartfelt apology. But everybody kind of, shrugged it off and said, okay, let's go. So that is where we believe that Trump was trying to use that to broker this deal and get the hostages back. And that's what made him so mad, because he felt like he had a piece of the puzzle put in place and Netanyahu almost messed it up.
Yep. And I want to quickly jump in here and say that we need to pray for Dave and Jana.
Oh, yeah.
Failed to mention that up to this point.
Absolutely. That's why we're here today.
Yeah, right. So let us know in the chat. Just say pray for Dave and Jana if you'll join us They are on their way to Israel with our tour group today. So Dave and Jana will be flying over and spending a couple of weeks there in Israel with our group, which isn't that far from Qatar, which is right in the middle of all sorts of...
Isn't that far from Gaza?
That's right. So let's remember our tour group and let us know that you'll be praying with us by simply saying, pray for Dave and Jan. Of course, some of you end-timers that watch every day or regularly are probably on that trip. So I know it'll be a wonderful time. We always have a wonderful time in Israel, and we're really excited to take the group there and maybe have some surprises, Doug.
Yeah.
I know they are already aware that that Joel Golden will be joining them for an evening. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a special time. We've never had such a high-ranking IDF general join us for anything. So that'll
never
be
had a high-ranking IDF anything.
Yeah. So it'll be a wonderful time, but you never know what else might happen,
That's
Doug.
true. That's true.
In fact, I know of a surprise that's happening. I'm not allowed to talk about it, and I forgot to tell you. So I'll have to tell you on the break.
I can guess of maybe 2 different things that could be, so I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, is that another thing we need to pull for?
I'm going to guess.
What's the surprise? Do you know what it is? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's see what people think it could be.
Yeah.
And then once it happens, I'll confirm. But nonetheless, excited for them. It's going to be a great time, but they do need your prayers. So in 2025, the turning point happened with Qatar specifically. You mentioned that Israel did the airstrike on Hamas targets in Doha, which is Qatar's capital.
Right.
But then Qatar comes back and they help broker this ceasefire and release Israel hostages. And then President Donald Trump issued an executive order guaranteeing U.S. military protection for Qatar. That all happened this year, Doug.
That's huge, Vince.
Again, the 9/11 thing,
yeah.
This is crazy to me. This feels crazy.
And people need to understand what that means, because what that means is if somebody attacks Qatar, they're going to have to deal with the United States like with Israel. So we've made a deal with them, almost like a NATO type of situation where if you mess with Qatar, you're going to have to answer to the United States now.
Well, and I hadn't thought of it until right now, so maybe it's a little dangerous to say it out loud on the air, but is that some way of Donald Trump playing with Benjamin Netanyahu to say, you struck Doha earlier this year, we're doing a deal with Qatar where you're never going to be able to do that again as long as we have this deal in place?
That makes you wonder if that's why it was even set in place. So, very interesting.
Well, we talk about how the Trump administration is a major ally to Israel, but they've had some conflict.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting, of course, that the United States is threatening that they would defend Qatar against Israel.
Right.
But it almost makes me wonder if he's just playing games in some way with them there.
Right. Well, he made the comment the other day that if Israel continued to try to have sovereignty over the West Bank, that they would lose approval by the U.S. or they would lose that support of the U.S. at that point. And so he's made a couple of these things where it's almost like they're tying the hands of the Israeli people, which is very interesting. So we'll watch that and continue to see what all that means. But that's interesting that he makes a deal like that with them. That was one of the things as I began to go down the trail that I told you it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm going, oh, my goodness. But that's one of those things I want to make sure that we hit and everybody understands. We've promised to protect them. The article says comparable to Japan and South Korea. So interesting. We'll just watch and see what happens there.
Lots of moving parts.
I
hear my wife saying, stop saying moving parts. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts on this one.
It's a T-shirt, man.
It is. Okay, and then of course a few weeks ago, the Pentagon announces that Qatari troops would train on U.S. soil,
right,
which we talked about here.
Yeah.
So that's this 2025 turning point for Qatar and everything going on.
Yeah.
And it's got me scratching my head because we know that, the big part for us, of course, is there's a war coming from the Euphrates River area, which is not far from Qatar.
Right.
Not suggesting that it's coming out of Qatar, but it's close where it's particularly interesting for us. And then, of course, we've long talked about how a third of mankind are going to be killed during that war. And we have looked at it the best we can as humans and tried to figure out, okay, how is that even possible? We don't know how all that's going to play out, but we can point to China, and of course we hope this doesn't happen. We know a war is coming. We know it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to happen. But if all of China disappeared, that's about a third of mankind. If all of India disappeared, that's about a third of mankind.
Yeah.
We don't think it's just going to be one country that disappears necessarily. Obviously, there will be casualties on all sides.
Yeah.
But those are some of the mathematical points we can look at. And then, of course, if Islam disappeared, that's about a third of mankind. So then when Qatar is so involved in these conversations, it kind of piques our interest because we're trying to put these puzzles together and also going, oh, Lord, we're waiting on you, but is it time now? Because there was a time, we talked about our original book, Message for the President by Irvin Baxter. That's what launched this ministry, and in that book, he's wrestling with the things that are happening in the world and going, do these pieces fit the prophecy puzzle?
Yep.
Well, he said the Berlin Wall was going to come down because he could see where that was a clear fit, and it happened. But then also there's questions about which beast represents which nations. Yeah. And so you tie all these pieces. So we're looking at events going, could this be tied to some of these things we've been talking about for a long time? So Qatar is heavy on my radar for some reason, and it started, I don't even remember what it started with now, Doug, but it was about a month and a half ago. And they just keep coming up, and then it's like one thing this weekend was quite wild for me personally as I'm seeing all this stuff happen. I'm going, what else are we about to learn? So I don't know what to say.
Well, I
at
knew
this point.
Yesterday afternoon we were going down this trail because I started getting all kinds of texts from you about Qatar, and I'm like, okay, I think we're probably talking about Qatar tomorrow. So it's just interesting the way things fell in place. So.
Well, go back to the 1990s. This is how they build their power. They've got the natural gas exports. So they're one of the richest countries in the world. And we've highlighted they only have 3 million people, which is smaller than Dallas-Fort Worth. Yeah. They're tiny, a tiny country. The country invested heavily in Al Jazeera, Qatar Airways, university, sports, and culture, including they hosted the 2022 FIFA World Cup. And then following the 2017 blockade by Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who accused Doha of backing the Muslim Brotherhood in Iran, Qatar realized it needed to buy influence in Washington. So this is when it started pouring millions, probably tens of millions, into lobbying firms, think tanks, and universities. So 18 million has been spent on 33 firms in the first year alone. So
it's amazing. I mean, we're wondering where the Free Palestine mentality has come from some of our American students. Well, they've infiltrated with their money into these colleges and these think tanks and these influencers that they've begun to change the tide of things and make it seem as though well, I'm just going to stop there, and we'll just keep moving through this because it's so interesting.
Well, I'll highlight here as we're coming up on a break that the lobbying footprint from Qatar has now surpassed Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which is mind-boggling. I do not even comprehend how that's possible.
I know.
But it's one of the most active foreign influencers in U.S. politics now. Yeah. Qatar, little old Qatar, and like Sam said before the show, follow the money. And so that's what we start looking at, and now the question is why. Yeah. And I don't know all the answers to that. But
Sam also said maybe that's why gas prices are going down all of a sudden.
I'm not. Sam also just said that Sam sounds like a smart person.
Yes, he did.
He said it in our earpiece. So, So, is this just a thing that? Is Qatar, have they won over the Democrats, Doug, or is it more than just the Democrats?
I think we're going to find out it's more. I think we're going to find out this is both sides of the parties, and the influence, like we said, follow the money. That's where the influence comes from.
Well, we're going to show some people that it's more than just the Democrats. So maybe folks won't accuse us of that like we normally get accused of. But stick around. We've got a whole lot more to show you, including some more clips that you'll definitely want to see. We'll be right back after this break.
A reminder of the breaking news this hour. At least 22 people are reported to have died in a strike in Gaza.
The rise of Islam.
We're trying to bring answers for so many families desperately.
Is the Israel-Hamas-Iran conflict World War III? So let's talk about the four horsemen. What do these horses symbolize? These are the four spirits of the heavens which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. In the end time, the true people of God will not be weak, anemic, and defeated. These prophesied events are revealing we are quickly approaching the time of the Great Tribulation right now.
Now streaming on OnlySource and available to order at endtime.com/green. Go to endtime.com/green or call 800-ENDTIME.
What if you could understand Bible prophecy? Dave Robbins, the host of the End Time Show's TV and radio programs, is holding a free prophecy conference near you. Gain peace and understanding about what the Bible says concerning end time prophecy. Call 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com/events to see when Dave will be in a location near you.
Welcome back to the End Time Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. Don't forget, you can go to watch.osn.tv and start a free trial on OnlySource. You can get a month free, Doug, using code June, which my wife loves it when I say that.
I do too.
She's like, can we please get a new code? I'm like,
it?
if we had a new code, I wouldn't use it because June still works. It's easy to spell.
Man.
June. It's so simple. Can people spell November or October? Yeah, but not as well as June.
That's true.
So use June. You can get 30 days free. Watch.osn.tv. And you can start streaming everything that we've ever created that we still have digitally, which is thousands of hours of content, plus all our new shows, Joy Hour, The Little Things, The Golden Report from Israel with Joel Golden. So we're super excited about that. Political Pulpits with Pastor Josh Navarrete, and so much more right there at watch.osn.tv. Of course, we have the 9 major apps, so it works on your smart Samsung TV or Apple TV or Android, all the things, it's there. So go to watch.osn.tv to start your free trial today. Doug, I did want to mention that we just had that commercial talking about Dave coming to an area near you. Yes, he'll be in Israel for a couple weeks, but he gets back, I think, does he get back on a Friday or a Thursday?
Friday.
So he gets back on Friday. The next day, guess what he's doing?
He's traveling.
He's going to
Louisiana.
Thibodaux, Louisiana. So if you're Thibodaux area or anywhere nearby, you have no excuses. Dave is coming all the way from Israel to get to Thibodaux. So make plans to join Dave and Jana Robbins in Thibodaux, Louisiana coming up. One night only, November 9th at 5 p.m. And then the week after that, our last conference of the year, Doug, and I get to go.
I know. Isn't that cool?
I'm excited. I've never been to Colorado.
Oh, man.
Craig, Colorado is where we're going.
I love Colorado.
It'll be a quick trip, but Dave's speaking Saturday night at 6 p.m. I'm speaking Sunday morning at 10 a.m., and then Dave's speaking at 11 a.m. So
all right,
we're going to have a good
like
time.
Fun.
And I don't know, maybe we'll get snowed in. I don't want to, but since I've never been to Colorado.
If you get snowed in, make it up to one of the resorts and learn how to ski.
I bet they don't get snowed in Colorado. They know how to deal with it.
They really do. But
so
anyway, you can still go skiing. I would go skiing if I could. I love skiing. So.
Maybe you should come too, Doug.
Maybe we just need to plan a trip to Colorado when we're in a Christmas season.
There we go.
Go to Colorado for a week and go skiing.
I like the sound of that. All those details are available at endtime.com/events. Doug, let's get back on Qatar.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go over all the things we've already said, keep repeating ourselves, but right at the break we were talking about the influence that that Qatar has had on politicians. And so I asked, is this just the Democrats? Because obviously, for us, we are pro anyone that is anti-world government, anti a lot of the agenda that's being pressed by them, and that tends to be the Republicans that have been against that.
Right.
And so we get accused of we are more into Donald Trump than we are Jesus and all this stuff, which is not true.
Right.
But I just want to highlight here that it appears Qatar is influencing more than just Democrats, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it's.
I mean, we need to talk about it. We got to ask the hard questions when we see stuff like this. So it's hitting both parties, and it seems like the Donald Trump White House is really pressing on with this. And I'm telling you, Vince, this next video that we're getting ready to play here in a few minutes, people need to pay attention because it's very interesting at what's being said about.
Are we ready to go there or not quite?
Whenever you're ready. We've talked about a lot that that is, already happened. So this video would be really good to go ahead and hit, but you might want to tell them who it is and what her role is or what her role has been.
Well, can I hit a few of these points real quick?
Yeah, let's hit those.
So in 2025, Qatar agents, they've held over 600 meetings with U.S. officials. 600, Doug?
That's crazy.
And we haven't even completed 10 months. So they're averaging, is that 60 per month? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
So they're having 2 meetings
You're the math guy.
on average a day, roughly,
Yeah.
with U.S. officials.
Yeah.
Seems like they're up to something very important. So they want to influence. Yeah, they want to influence the relationships through media, through education. We've highlighted that.
Yeah.
It's not just diplomacy for them. So they want to reshape Qatar's image, obviously.
Yeah.
And they want to influence, I think, the world is what it seems like. So they come straight to the U.S. And then we've got Michelle Bachmann, who's in this clip that we're about to show. And she's an American politician, as I think we all know, former U.S. representative of Minnesota's 6th Congressional District, and she also ran for president in 2012, and she's known as being a very strong conservative.
Yes.
So let's hear what she has to say about Qatar.
Together with Steve Witkoff, and he brought these two in to handle it. It perplexed me. We have a Secretary of State named Marco Rubio. Why wasn't he the one involved in these negotiations? Nonetheless, these two were involved in the negotiations. This is completely politically incorrect. I'm not speaking for Tony or FRC. I'm not speaking for Jack or for this wonderful church. But I was very concerned because of the historical nature of the relationships that both Mr. Witkoff and Jared Kushner had with Saudi Arabia and with Qatar. Because Qatar is the #1 funder of terrorism in the world. The #1 nation state of terrorism in the world is Iran. So they're twin nations that are twin partners in terror. Iran is the chief sponsor of terrorism. Qatar is the chief funder. You need to know this about Qatar. Qatar is only 330,000 people. That's it. It's the size of Pittsburgh. That's Qatar. They have 2 million slaves that work for them. They take their passports away from them, but it's only 330,000 people. So why are they such smarty pants? Qatar. It's because they have money. They control 14% of the natural gas in the world. 330,000 people. These are the richest people in the world in Qatar, some of the richest. And so one thing that I do know, they believe very strongly in political Islam. And so they are all about advancing, conquering the world for Islam. They're very committed. So they put their money where their mouth is. They're the chief propagandists in the world. So then what happened in the last few months from America? President Trump's first foreign policy trip was to meet with Qatar, with Saudi Arabia. Of the 19 hijackers who took down the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and Flight 93, 17 of the 19 were Saudis. So we're trying to have a relationship with the Saudis and the Qataris and Syria. The self-appointed president of Syria was #4 on the terror watch list. We were offering $10 million for the scalp of this guy who appointed himself the head of Syria. And when President Trump went over, this terrorist put on a suit, trimmed his beard, changed his clothes, and President Trump's in a photo shaking hands with this guy. And I just thought, this is a little shocking to me. You normally don't see something like this. But there's been a lot of private deals done financial deals with people who are involved in foreign policy. This is very unusual. If you have Qatar's junior business partners conducting American foreign policy with them, especially regarding Israel, I've never seen anything like this before. So I'm standing back trying to watch what's going on. So then the plan comes out, and this made all the bells go off in my head, because contained with the plan is the understanding that Israel, that by the way, they were within 2 weeks of winning this war with Hamas. They already controlled 80% of Gaza. They were just right there coming in for the victory. Go back to World War II. We soundly defeated Imperial Japan, soundly defeated Nazi Germany. So when that happened, they're clear winner, clear loser. That's what you need in the Middle East for the Arab mind.
That's right.
The Arab mind needs to know there's a clear winner, clear loser, and by the way, the loser loses land. That's how the Arab mind works. So just about as Israel is reaching the goalpost, in comes our envoys, Wickoff and Jared Kushner, and say, wait, stop it. You can't win. Sorry, we're not going to let you win. And so now we're going to have a ceasefire. And now we're going to negotiate. And in the negotiation, Israel, you're not getting control over the land. You're not getting it. And by the way, if the Arabs do everything right, there's a hint they might get their own state out of this deal. Judea, Samaria, and maybe Gaza for their own country. I mean, this is like shocking stuff. Absolute barbarians, murdering, raping barbarians. They're going to get rewarded, and Israel's going to get what? 20 emaciated people back? That's what they're getting out of the deal? 20 emaciated people and dead corpses? That's the deal they're getting after they've lost the lives of 2,500 people in 2 years in this nation, when we saw one miracle from the hand of God after another, week after week after week. You saw the miraculous hand of Almighty God win and defeat Hezbollah, defeat Iran, defeat in Yemen, defeat every enemy on 7 front wars. We watched the Bible play out for the last 2 years.
I told you that's a jaw-dropping video right there. I mean, she's laying it down and calling it like it is. I mean, she just pretty much said things that a lot of conservative people haven't said. I mean, it's for her to be a conservative voice, she's telling the truth and telling it like it is. And she says Jared Kushner is one of the movers and shakers of this whole thing, and he's not even – we haven't elected Jared Kushner to do anything. He's a private individual doing these brokered deals for peace agreements and for peace talks and for ceasefires. So it's interesting, Vince, and it does every time when I see stuff like that. And, I mean, it's like it just resonates because you're going, okay, this could be about you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. You give me money and we'll, spend it here and do this and move things around, and it's very interesting.
What are you highlighting there with Jared Kushner specifically?
Well, a lot of people, are questioning Jared Kushner and what his role is in this. I mean, he is a Jewish man who is the son-in-law of the president, married to one of I can't remember which one it is, Ivanka.
Ivanka, yeah.
And so she has converted to Judaism as well. Trump's made that statement publicly and things like that. And so people have mentioned, his name as, what if he's the Antichrist? And, he doesn't come from the right region. He's not a political figure. He's a private individual. So these deals that he's working up, though, it's almost as if he's against Israel, but yet he's a Jew. And so it's interesting. I'm just highlighting that because so many people said they didn't realize the things that Jared Kushner has done behind the scenes until they saw this. So, the person that sent me this video said he didn't realize how deep the evil goes with. That was his words. I didn't realize that Jared Kushner was that evil that he would do something like that. So, 2 weeks before Israel won the war against Hamas, they come out and it looks like they really lost after all that they had done, all they accomplished. And she's got a great a sense of the way the order is over there, that Islam looks at that as a defeat, that Hamas actually won because they weren't completely destroyed. So anyway, we'll see more from her in a second. I got another video, I think, of her toward the end of the program that we're going to show and just kind of talk about some other things that she had to say.
So does I guess we don't know what Qatar benefits from all this, or what even Jared Kushner benefits from all this.
I think that what she said about how Qatar is Islamic and they want to see Islam rule the world is what Qatar wants out of this. I think that their whole thing, from an article that I read right before we came on the show today, was saying that with Qatar being part of the peace process there and helping set up the government for Gaza, that Hamas would never actually go away. They would always be there, and they would always be a ruling party within Gaza. So I think that is part of what Qatar wants, to continue their influence in the region.
All right, well, we've got another clip from Michelle Bachmann on the other side of the break, and more information that you're going to want to hear, and tie in some scripture, Doug, to hopefully encourage some folks. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Many people argue America is not mentioned in the prophecies of the Bible. But they will miss so much about the coming events that will happen in the end time if they don't get that understanding. What do these beasts symbolize? That's what we need to answer. Because if we can't understand what these beasts symbolize, there's no point in even studying this, right? If you don't believe that America is mentioned in the Bible, you're going to be stuck when it comes to figuring out all these prophecies. But once you understand this, America has a prophesied future. It's given to us in the Bible. And the America will not be part of the world government, but we're going to be protecting Israel against the world government all the way to the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Now streaming on OnlySource and available to order at endtime.com/America. Go to endtime.com/America or call 1-800-ENDTIME.
Welcome back to the Endtime Show. Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. Don't forget, we need your help. Share this video. Make sure you're engaging in the chat. And then also give us a heart and a thumbs up. It goes a long way, especially when you do it this deep into the show. So share right now, thumbs up, heart, and then let us know what you're thinking in the chat. Doug, we've got more clips from Michelle, but I don't know what we need to cover before we get there. So help us out here, Doug.
Well, I just want people to understand, because when they talk about them buying access to America, some of these agencies that you might not think, because I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, I don't watch Fox anymore. I've changed to Newsmax, and they're like my go-to news station now. Well, guess who gave investments to Newsmax? Qatar. So they're one of the ones named in this article. The Boeing 747 that they gave Trump as a gift. These are other things that they say that Qatar has done to buy their way into the Trump inner circle. And it also says that there have been conservative voices like Laura Loomer, and she's one of the ones that you sent me her X count of people that she was exposing, that she's talked about these bribes and manipulating U.S. policy through Qatar. She's spoken out against it. Even said that one general there that people call him by a nickname that Trump called him was General Petraeus, which is Petraeus, was actually at the opening of their embassy over the weekend. So interesting that these things are out there. I just wanted people to realize that even places like Newsmax that you think you can trust, we're seeing that they're even influenced by money of Qatar and by the influence of this foreign country within our own country. So,
well, on top of that, Jared Kushner owns Affinity Partners, which is an investment firm, and in December of 24, guess who put in $1.5 billion into his company? Just take a wild guess, bro.
Well, for $1 million, I'm going to say Qatar.
For $1 million. Yeah, so Qatar and Abu Dhabi, they committed an additional $1.5 billion into his company.
Wow.
And then there's other reports that have reported hundreds of millions from UAE and Qatar for his company. And so I don't know what to make of that, Doug. It definitely makes me question things. Of course, as we've established, I've already been talking about Qatar. I did not know this until the break, as I looked it up and found this information while we were on break there. So, weird, really weird stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it's kind of it's sad too. Maybe we don't understand the whole extent of this, but it is kind of sad when you're thinking one way and you think that these things are happening for the good, and then you find out, okay, well, what is Qatar getting? We still don't know. So it's a good question, but we do have another.
Remember, we talked about that in the first Trump presidency. We talked about Kushner and his family. They were trying to raise money for building at 666 Fifth Avenue. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
I'd forgotten about that, but
yeah.
Apparently some of that negotiation with raising finances was Kushner involved with Qatari parties. So
very
666 Fifth Avenue. There's a conversation happening in the chat about whether or not he's the Antichrist.
Yeah.
So throw that out there for 666 Fifth Avenue, just for fun. But
yeah,
maybe we need to do a show if we haven't already. Is Jared Kushner the Antichrist?
I don't think we've done that one yet, but it's always one of your favorite topics.
Well, there's always tomorrow. But we're ready for this clip?
Yeah, let's go to the part 2 of Michelle and see what else she had to say.
All right.
And you should know this, by the way. You wonder why American students, Christians, conservatives have turned against Israel? I'll tell you why. It's because for the last 2 years, it's documented, Qatar has spent over $200 billion in America targeting your kids and targeting you. They spent it on American newsrooms, on influencers, and in academic institutions. So all those riots at Columbia University paid for courtesy of Qatar. Not just Soros, Qatar. Okay, so why is American policy that we're going to allow that? Why is it that 2 weeks ago, President Trump announced an executive order that we, the United States, are going to give a NATO-type guarantee to Qatar? Anybody who attacks Qatar, America is going to defend Qatar. In what universe? Why? This just came out. Just this week it came out. I love Pete Hegseth. Went to church with him since he was in high school. Beautiful believer. But he had a meeting where he was with, I think, his counterpart from Qatar, saying that now we are going to host Qatari F-15s in Boise, Idaho, on an American airbase. So why are we rewarding the chief funder of terrorism, the nation that has housed and hosted Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood, a radical terrorist organization? Right. Why are we rewarding them when their goal is, and they've been propagandizing our students against Israel? Why are we doing this? So I'm asking these questions and thinking, I don't know, I'm looking at this 20-point plan, and they're talking about taking away Israel's land, which would violate Joel chapter 3, verses 1 through 3, and perhaps take away control, or at least at minimum, allowing Israel the right to to annex, which means to put their sovereignty over Judea, Samaria, which since 1967, Israel owned Gaza, and they've owned Judea, Samaria. So under international law, this is their land. And now it looks like under the Trump plan, the plan is saying, yeah, Israel, you've owned it since 67, but Gaza, we're going to sever that off.
So they've pretty much done that. I mean, they're saying that Israel's backing out of Gaza. They're not going to control Gaza at all, and they're going to instate this new interim, government there that they talked about, Tony Blair being the one that's overseeing that. But like I said, the article that I read from the American, what is that called? The New American article that I read today said that with Qatar being one of the lead negotiators for that government that's being set up, this is going to funnel money back into Hamas, and Hamas will never leave. They'll always be there in the background controlling things silently, and that is a win for Qatar. It's a win for Hamas. And even they're even talking about that Egypt wants this to happen too. Egypt, who has built a wall that, I don't know if you saw the wall over the week. I saw a TikTok of that wall, and they're
how
like,
many walls?
It's like Egypt looks like they're expecting a zombie apocalypse. How big this huge wall
Layers
is.
of walls,
yeah,
and
it's
so much
nuts.
barbed wire.
Yeah, so there's something going on there. So very interesting. So I'll let you take us from here wherever you want to go. I wanted to make sure that everybody saw the Michelle Bachmann because she had so much great information to tell and things that we need to be aware of. So,
well, there's strategic leverage here, it seems, and of course they're very successful. When you have that much money, how I guess you could go wrong, but it'll open a lot of doors.
Yeah.
And so it's, I guess, morally complicated, this partner, because it's we make deals all the time with people that we don't agree with.
Right.
And like we've highlighted, we don't agree with everything our own country does. But it seems really odd for the United States to support one side and then go and support the other, which we've seen this. We've seen this happen forever. Master Plan of the Dragon, one of our Endtime originals, highlights how you have major players funding both sides, and they always win because they're funding both sides. So it's obviously not that shocking or surprising. It just feels wrong because it's wrong, but it feels different for some reason. I don't know if it's because we're so open with it now versus how we've been in the past. I don't know, but
I think a lot of it has to do too, Vince, with the fact that we thought, based on Bible prophecy and where we see that America was heading, and then Trump gets reelected and we see that he is taking us in the opposite direction toward what Bible prophecy says, and then you get something like this that happens and you're like, wait a second, he's playing both sides. You know, what is going on here? Is he really leading us toward the great wings of the eagle that helps Israel in the end time? Or is he stabbing Israel in the back? It's kind of like one of those things. What is going on? And it's okay to ask those questions. You know, it's all right. It's just because you ask a question. I've heard people attack people that question anything Trump does. I think we need to question all kinds of things. We tell people to question us. When we say something, go look it up for yourself. Read the Bible for yourself and see if it's true, you know? And so it's okay to question things.
Well, Natalie Akinau was an analyst. She said you can't be both the mediator and the host for one side's leadership. Eventually that tension breaks.
Yeah.
And we want to highlight this clip if we have time of the embassy in D.C.
I think we got enough time
All right,
for that.
Let's go to it.
Honorable members of the Trump administration and the United States Congress, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new home of the Embassy of Qatar in the United States. I'm delighted that you could be with us on this special night, at a very special moment in history. I have visited Qatar's embassies around the world, and our new headquarters here in the United States is undoubtedly our finest and most impressive. That's because the bilateral relationship between our two nations is a vital partnership that continue to grow as the bonds between Qatar and the US strengthen and deepens.
The pieces that you are about to hear are intended to capture the universal human story with the sea. Tempest is a mosaic of multiple seafaring cultural influences, all interwoven with our own seafaring traditional music, which is called fajiri.
All right, Doug, so that's the Qatar embassy in Washington, D.C., and as you noted, Jared Kushner was present.
Yes, he was.
And several others, of course, as well.
Yeah.
From the U.S. government. So we want to highlight Proverbs 14:15 before we go. We're running out of time here, but the KJV says, "The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going." The NLT says it a little more straightforward, I think, at least in today's terms. Only simpletons believe everything they're told. The prudent carefully consider their steps.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with what we're doing today, questioning some of these things. I think that as Americans and Christians, we need to question those things and ask these important questions of this administration. What is going on? Why are we making deals with terrorists?
Answers would be nice. I've asked some of them, I need to know more about this relationship with Qatar, and they say, we'll look into it, and I never hear back. And so I'm not sure what to think, but time will tell.
Yes.
More will be revealed, and I think it'll be sooner rather than later. So we are excited to learn more and see Bible prophecy developing right in front of our eyes. Please be praying about this Qatar situation and that the Lord reveals things so we can better understand. If you come across any tips, of course, send them our way. We'll be happy to consider them and see how they tie into what's going on. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. In the meantime, you can go to watch.osn.tv and endtime.com. Participate in thousands of hours of content totally free. God bless you. Have a good evening.